Push it off the back.
No.
That one's on, yeah. So I forgot once to turn this microphone on. Right here. Got to turn that on right there. And I lost the audio. So that's why I'm using two. One screws up.
Today, do we need to approve the meeting 2 weeks ago or whenever it was?
Right here. I have it.
If they're available.
I have them right here.
No, I have them, I just didn't know if we should wait till they were no add-ons here, right? Agenda's the agenda. Yeah, that's it. We're not gonna do any of the other stuff. In and out. Not a lot of this.
It's on the town webpage? Yeah, that's, I think.
Well, if we put it on the town webpage.
Okay, so, yeah, I think, but, you know, we talk about driving traffic, where there's a webpage, but that's the place. Want to know something?
Now just wait. Okay.
6 o'clock, but we're gonna give Sue a minute to make some copies or something.
No. So these guys are all appointed by the town to hear different proposals of people that want to build stuff in the town, right? It's a public meeting, so anybody in the town can come. So these folks are other members of the town or just members of the community. Right? So they'll talk about different proposals that are on the table and they vote on whatever proposal is. So the
Anything grand?
so we kind of advise them this is what they should and the rest of it just comes really talk about it. So this is a public hearing. So we with our proposal, we had to have a public hearing.
Sound like you're making it up.
This room was full. Most of those people don't have negative.
So sometimes they do, you know, they have that nice soft stuff.
That's all, part of it is over. So now it's just these guys talking amongst themselves and voting on what they want to. So normally it's fairly.
Wait to cool off.
Sometimes not. But the things that are said or motions that are made are very important to know exactly what was said, exactly what was done. That's why.
Then they feel big, yeah.
Oh, yes.
By the time they
Make
get.
sure that we're catching what was said.
And there's only one day I was without
Sometimes
food.
it's
And it was,
they misremember
like, close to the
what
last
happened.
days when everyone was tired. And we didn't close so much, so it was good. It was like, okay.
can't be here tonight, he's not feeling well, so start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing is approve the planning board minutes from May 28th.
When?
May 28th. Is that June 25th?
We never approved them, then we were off the first
Oh,
meeting.
no, yeah, the one got canceled, so we never approved the motion.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. That was the first one. We're gonna go forego the property maintenance and campground law stuff till Dan's back next meeting.
Approved the June 25th meeting?
That's the last
That's
thing.
next.
That's next.
I recommend we approve those or discuss approving those and then to the.
Okay. That's what I was just working down the sheet.
Yeah.
Okay, so now approve the 25th board meeting minutes. Oh, make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for the June 25th meeting. I'm sorry, brain is dead. I'm like,
Second? Who
Who
seconded?
seconded it? Okay, I will.
Missy did.
Got it.
Aye. Okay, that's it for our whole agenda except for new, you want to read that?
Yeah, so just to, for the record, so to speak, the last meeting, we had a vote on the proposal by Allen Chase Enterprises for site plan approval on property located at 2325 County Route 1A. That resolution was put to a vote, and the resolution failed by a vote of 1 in favor and 4 opposed. There was a considerable amount of discussion back and forth. Some of the terms that were discussed are, I think, subject to reconsideration. I believe that the site plan regulations, particularly section 1.80 of the town's regulations, allow for the board to consider waiving or modifying the process, the procedure, in order to do substantial justice to the applicant, to provide that the public interest is ensured. And so in that vein, there is a proposal to reconsider the resolution as modified. And I think it bears reading what those modifications are, having a discussion among the planning board members. If there's any additions or further edits to the proposed resolution, we ought to discuss them and put them in place, and then ultimately have a vote on the resolution. That's conceptually what is being proposed. If there's any questions on that, I'm happy to answer. Or make questions. Earlier today, I did circulate to the planning board members, and to be quite clear, to the applicant's attorney, submitted a revised resolution. The applicant's attorney requested it pursuant to Public Officers Law 103B. So I was happy to provide that with the caveat that it was draft and still was subject to review and discussion and debate tonight and ultimately a vote. So here we are. What I've handed out that in the upper right-hand corner says V2 for version 2, and actually there's an extra copy. V2's version 2 deviates slightly from what was circulated earlier in the day, principally as it relates to the use of the property for the parking of commercial vehicles. But I think what I'd like to do, bear with me, I'd like to read the resolution and then open it up for any discussion among the town board or planning board. So this is a resolution that's proposed for this evening. I mentioned what the matter was, for approval of a campground located at tax parcel 095.00-01-11, 2325 County Route 1A in Scriba. Everyone have the copy? It states, whereas Ellen Chase Enterprises, Inc., the applicant, has applied for approval for the use of a vacant real property located owned by the applicant as a campground for a total of 9 recreational vehicle pads, together with a 24 by 60 foot building housing a bathhouse, community room, utility room, together with seasonal parking of commercial vehicles. In total, the project on an approximately 7.46 acre parcel located at 2325 County Route 1A, in reference to tax parcel, again, collectively referred to as the premises in the town of Scriba. Now, this resolution is heavily footnoted, and I think it's appropriate to read those footnotes as well. The first footnote indicates that it is in reference to the application. The footnote reads, the initial application for proposed development dated January 7, 2025 originally proposed 10 RV pads and a 24 by 60 foot building with storage and bath facility. The application dated February 22, 2025 described the proposed project as, quote, change, should have been in use to include travel trailer park with construction of an associated building for storage and support to travel trailer park. The request for on-site commercial parking was subsequently added by the applicant, although the applicant noted the existing use of the premises as, quote, vehicle storage / unimproved land. The second footnote is in reference to the approximately 7.46 acre parcel, and that reads, a substantial, at least 1/2, portion of the premises contains a New York State regulated freshwater wetland, thereby restricting the use of the premises and subjecting the regulated activities in the wetland or within the 100-foot adjacent area to permit requirements administered by the New York State DEC. The next whereas clause states that the application for site plan approval was submitted to the Town of Scriba Planning Board by the applicant dated on or about February 22nd, 2025, together with a short environmental assessment form, site plan, and related documents. And whereas the application and supporting materials were submitted to the County of Oswego Department of Community Development, Tourism, and Planning pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 239 L&M, on March 28, 2025, and the county replied by letter dated April 9, recommending approval with modification of the project. That's the third footnote, which references the county's 239 modifications to include the inclusion of low-level lighting to help with safety at night, that the New York State DEC be contacted and a wetland delineation be conducted, compliance with New York State Department of Health requirements for an on-site wastewater treatment system designed by a New York State licensed engineer for Oswego County Health Department review and approval, the inclusion of local trees and shrubbery within the landscape buffer, and limiting access to the premises with one entrance exit, noting that the current configuration of the premises is a, quote, free-for-all in terms of access to the applicant's property. The next whereas clause says that a public hearing was conducted on April 29, 2025, and several neighboring property owners attended and generally objected to the project, with a large number of opponents discussing the applicant's plan to house seasonal workers to its commercial herbicide and insecticide application business. And that's the fourth footnote. Many of the comments critical of the applicant's plans were based on the fact that the applicant participated in the H-2B Foreign Guest Workers Program administered by the United States government. However, the focus of the planning board does not give regard to who is occupying the premises, but rather how the premises is sited for the contemplated use of the premises. The next whereas clause states that the Town of Scriba Planning Board conducted a review of the short environmental assessment form and determined through review and analysis that the short form and supporting documents through review and analysis of the short form and the supporting documents, that the project would not create an adverse impact on the environment, and adopted a negative declaration on June 9, 2025. And there is the fifth footnote. To be clear, the New York State regulated freshwater wetland is located on the premises as evidenced by the jurisdictional determination made by the DEC dated September 9, 2021, and the site plan includes a 100-foot wetland delineation. The next whereas clause, which is represents a modification of the prior resolution. Whereas the Town of Scriba Planning Board put an earlier version of this resolution to vote during a rescheduled meeting of the planning board held June 26, 2025, and I realize it's June 25th, not 26th, at which time the resolution failed to receive approval by a vote of 1 in favor and 4 opposed. The majority of the planning board members not agreeing to the condition that would permit the applicant to operate a campground and utilize the premises for commercial vehicle storage concurrently. And the matter having been brought back to the planning board for reconsideration with modified conditions that allow the applicant to utilize the premises in a commercially reasonable manner consistent with the town's site plan regulations. And whereas the Town of Scriba Planning Board has determined the application is complete and approval of the site plan as modified herein, consistent with many of the comments received by the county and taking into consideration the comments raised by the public, is consistent with the town's site plan regulations, and reconsideration of the resolution is authorized pursuant to section 1.80 of the site plan regulations in order to do substantial justice to the applicant and provide that the public interest is ensured. There are actually 2 footnotes in that whereas provision. The first one referencing the site plan as modified herein, It's just referencing the overall site plan that was prepared by MBL Engineering, PLLC, dated February 25, project number 25-017, and revised May 28, 2025. The second footnote number 7, states the Town of Scriba Site Plan Regulations, Local Law 2 of 2022, Section 1.80, waiver/variance states, quote, when, in the opinion of the planning board, undue individual hardship may result from strict compliance with these regulations, the planning board may modify or waive these regulations so that substantial justice may be done and the public interest secured, provided that such modification or waiver will not have the effect of nullifying the intent or purpose of these regulations. The resolution goes on to state, now therefore, upon motion made by a board member and seconded by another board member, it is and shall hereby be resolved that the site plan submitted by the applicant for the use of the premises as a 9-pad campground with a 24-foot by 60-foot bathhouse and community space with utility room, together with off-season commercial parking, is approved with conditions. And it is further resolved that the applicant shall follow all applicable federal and state and local laws, rules, and regulations in the construction and operation of the project, including without limitation the following conditions. A, no chemical or hazardous material storage shall be permitted anywhere on the premises. B, the applicant will plant native species trees and shrubbery in all landscape buffer areas for screening of neighboring properties. C, campground is limited to 9 recreational pads without further approval by the Town of Scriba Planning Board. D, garbage disposal areas shall be enclosed and a commercial grade dumpster shall be utilized at all times. E, the applicant shall maintain a record book of all campground occupants. F, each RV shall be registered. G, the recommendations of the Oswego County Department of Community Development, Tourism and Planning as contained in its letter of April 9, 2025 are hereby adopted and incorporated by reference herein, with the exception that the 24-foot ingress/egress driveways as depicted on the current site plan shall be permitted. H, and this is a departure, H and I are departures from the prior resolution that failed. H, commercial vehicle parking of applicants' vehicles shall be permitted in the specified areas contained in the current site plan when the campground is in operation, and shall be confined to a space measuring 145 feet by 50 feet on the east side of the premises as depicted in the overall site plan dated May 28, 2025. And there shall be no storage of vehicle parts or equipment and materials related to applicant's business or otherwise during periods when the campground is in operation. I, the applicant shall be allowed to park its commercial vehicles and equipment on the premises when the premises is not being used as a campground, utilizing all available space provided the commercial vehicles are parked, provided that the commercial vehicles are parked outside the 100-foot delineated New York State DEC wetland buffer area. No junk vehicles, parts, debris, or equipment shall be permitted to be parked on the premises, nor shall the premises be utilized as a lay-down yard for the applicant's business when the campground is in operation. There is a footnote to this condition, footnote number 8. I'll read it as follows. The intention of this condition is to ensure that the premises is utilized as a campground or a parking space for the applicant's commercial vehicles, but not both simultaneously. In fact, such a condition is consistent with the applicant's application for proposed development dated February 22, 2025, in which it describes the proposed use of the premises as, quote, change in use to include travel trailer park with construction of an associated building for storage and support of trailer park. In the initial site plan map dated February 2025 noted 1, parking space at each RV site and a 24-foot by 60-foot pole barn building for storage and bat house, with 2 future 22-foot by 60-foot lean-to additions, among other items. Indeed, the applicant's short environmental assessment form pursuant to seeker briefly described the proposed action accordingly. Quote, construct a 68-foot by 60-foot pole barn with storage and bath facilities. Install 9 RV sites, end quote. Finally, the public hearing notice dated March 29, 2025, and the applicant's own written presentation, noted as Chase Project Number 1, 2025, 21-page undated document, during the public hearing, did not contemplate parking of commercial vehicles on the premises in addition to the use of the premises as, quote, temporary seasonal housing, end quote. It was only in subsequent meetings that the applicant sought permission to park commercial vehicles on the premises in addition to using the premises as a campground. Therefore, this condition is an effort to address both uses, thereby providing substantial justice to the applicant while the public interest is ensured. The next condition, letter J, all commercial vehicle parking on the premises shall be striped, and vehicles shall be parked in an orderly manner and in the striped areas. K, applicant to comply with all permitting requirements established by the New York State DEC, the New York State DOH, the County of Oswego Health Department, the New York State Property Maintenance Code, and the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code as administered and enforced by the Town of Scriba Code Enforcement Office. And it is further resolved that the conditions included in this resolution shall inure to and bind the applicant and all successors and assigns of the applicant. And it is further resolved, in the event the applicant proposes to alter or expand the use of any portion of the premises, such proposal will require the applicant to apply to the Town of Scriba Planning Board for further site plan review prior to commencing any additional projects and development. And it is further resolved that all permit fees owed to the Town of Scriba shall be paid before the issuance of a building permit. And it is further resolved that in the event that any of the provisions of this resolution are held to be unenforceable or invalid by any court or regulatory authority of competent jurisdiction, the validity and enforceability of the remaining provisions shall not be affected so long as the applicant and the Town Planning Board renegotiate the unenforceable or invalid provisions in order to accomplish the goal and intent of this resolution. And there's provision for the motion to be made and seconded and put up for a vote. And to be clear, as noted, Jeremy Kehoe is absent. And Mr. Kutro has previously been recused, so there are 4 voting members of the planning board at this time. A majority, it's a 5-member board, so the majority is 3 votes in the affirmative would carry the motion. So that's the resolution as written, but now certainly refer back to the chair and open it up for further discussion.
Right around the table, Nancy?
The only thing I think that I thought again was the fact that we're talking about when it's not being used as a campground as opposed to before at one point we had it designated a certain time frame of the year. March to October or whatever it was. It's complicated. That's the only thing I'd like to see it specified. But that's just my thought.
The only comment I guess I would provide to that is that our particular site plan regulations don't have that level of control.
Okay,
As
but that
it
was in
relates-
one of the proposals.
I understand.
Yes,
I-
as long as,
but-
because does that mean if all the campers are gone on the road that we're back to parking? That's the thought that if the sites are not being used and they're all gone
So
somewhere.
it's, yeah, so,
then
It has to
we're
be one
back
or the other.
right, no, but I think to your point.
That's
Nancy,
my point. That's-
It's
I mean,
July, it's July, 9th, and on July 10th, everybody's gone. Does that give, but they're returning on July 20th.
So
does
we've
that-
got that space in
right.
between. That's my only concern, if we need to do something to.
The intention of this resolution is, it would not give the property owner the ability to just park all of these vehicles there, because the campground is still in operation. If he closes the, if it's truly like a, let's just say March to November operation, then, and he closes up and, and there's not even a requirement that the RVs have to leave. In fact, I think the intention is for them to be stored. I think that was part of the presentation. But at that time, when it's not being actively utilized as a campground, then it can be utilized as vehicle storage.
I have a question.
Mike, I'm sorry, but you can't participate.
Can it,
No. No, in fact, technically, you're supposed to remove yourself from the table,
Okay.
but yeah, you're not supposed to participate at all.
Set,
Hey,
Mr.
John. It's up to you.
Just a couple things. Back to part A, no chemical hazardous material storage shall be permitted anywhere on the premises. I've asked this several times. She uses the perfect words. We've gone back and forth on this. Yes or no? Chemicals at 23, 25, was it all down at 389? When I asked it last meeting, you said, we're going to have some there. And I balked on that big time. That was my big no. You said no chemicals. I just want to make sure and hear it right now and have it in writing. There's no chemical hazardous material storage permitted anywhere on 23 to 25.
So let me just, I know you directed that question to Mr. Chase, but from my recollection, and I think, I'm not speaking for him, but what he said in the past is that some of the vehicles that would be stored there do have containers that have, a volume, whether it's residual or a full tank of it.
And then my follow-up question from last meeting was, are we following all the storage requirements? And there's a ton of them, and you know them right just as well as I do. Are we following the storage requirements? Whether it be signage, decals, ventilation, all those things like that, for Kevin, whoever I'm asking this to.
So how do we, in the case of the letter A, no chemical or hazardous material storage shall be permitted anywhere on the premises. If he has a truck that has, herbicide that's contained in the tank, right, and he's parked it, isn't that storing on the
He
premises?
has to follow the storage regs. Said something. They're spelled right out. I can call them up for it.
No, I get it. I guess I'm good, but I don't want to get tripped up in a literal
I got that.
condition where he can't park anything there,
No,
if that's not our intention.
I got that, but I don't want that to lead over to, hey, we can't get it in the truck, where do we put this? I mean, is he back down to 389, or is he, finding a place there on site? I'm a stickler for this, so
I get it.
And we've gone back and forth, and it says right here, no chemicals.
Right. So the original proposal for the 24, maybe 68, or whatever dimension by 60 storage building was going to be bathhouse and storage, and there was early representations of chemical storage in one portion of that. And that, I think, was roundly,
And then it turned into a
Negated.
negative, no, we are not. And I can go back to the minutes, I can go through everything, the packet,
Yep.
and find it.
right,
So I need clarification right now about chemical storage at 23 to 25. It's that simple for me.
yeah. So I think, again, my understanding was the intention was that the storage building that is proposed to be constructed would contain no chemical storage whatsoever. But a literal read of this letter A would also include any vehicles that have any type of chemical or hazardous materials.
And I get that as long as he follows the storage guidelines for the vehicles, whether it's signage, details, all the things that we require.
So if, then I think to add additional clarification to this, what I'm hearing you say correctly, John, is that you have a problem with storage in a building, but you don't have a problem with chemical or hazardous material storage that's part of, that's attached to a vehicle that's parked there, as long as it's meeting the DEC requirements for.
And my business is different from his in that I don't have the vehicles that he drives. And so I get that. I just want to make sure that he's following the regs for his vehicles. It's that simple.
So would we amend that to say no chemical storage, no chemical or hazardous storage shall be permitted anywhere on the premises except in commercial vehicles
Commercial vehicles and
pursuant to DEC
storage
regulations?
Yep, storage regulations. And that would help me out a lot. And I'm sure, all these trucks are all, properly posted in, they have to be cleaned. I worry more about the ventilation, part of it when, we get this 90-degree weather and now you're sitting there with chemicals sitting in trucks that, we know it's gonna be a lot more than 90 degrees. So. But that will help me, Kevin, thank you. The other, I'll wait for this one.
Yeah, let me just,
I'm sorry.
no, that's fine. So the new proposed condition A would state no chemical / hazardous material storage shall be permitted anywhere on the premises except in applicants' commercial vehicles in compliance with the New York State DEC regulations. That work?
Yes, thank you. And then I had one other question on footnote 8. I think that went with I. And I'm talking wrong on that. On footnote 8, and again, you use these words back and forth a few times. I can go back to the minutes, go through my notes, through the multiple packets we have here, but about halfway down through, with future 22 by 60 foot lean-to additions.
Yeah.
Now, specifically, that was a no, that was a negative. We're not gonna put lean-to on this thing.
Right.
So,
You're just referring
to
to
the
what the
future,
original
then
one
he would
said,
have to come-
correct?
He would have to come back to the planning board?
Correct. Yes, I'm only,
Footnoting what was originally put in, right? That's the way I
yeah,
interpret it.
I'm frankly highlighting how the applicant and the information contained in the application has changed from when it was first presented in January to what we're voting on now. And at one point in February 22nd application, it included that the future 22 by 60 foot lean-tos, but that's not what's being approved here.
Okay.
I only provide that information for reference in the context.
Thank you for the clarification. I'm set.
That's all you got? All right, under J, I don't see the points striking dirt.
And I know that's been discussed back and forth, so,
The parking in an orderly
Order
manner,
in
that's all
manner, yeah,
fine,
I could.
but
I
the
could
striping
think
it, that's,
We could get rid of that.
okay, so commercial vehicle area of the premises shall be, or all commercial vehicle, all commercial vehicles shall be parked in an orderly manner. Is that,
Within
And then the
the
designated
area that's for the campground.
Right.
After it's closed or whatever it is. It's already planned in there.
um, yeah, so,
Parked in an orderly manner in the designated.
yeah, it's
Area?
designated in, on the overall site plan dated May 28th. So, are you saying strike, just say all vehicles shall be parked in an orderly manner within the areas designated in the overall site plan dated May 28th, 2029, or 25? So the key is
What's everybody else think?
that
Say
they're parked
commercial
in
or
an
all?
orderly manner.
Just in an orderly manner.
Yeah.
All right, so it reads, all vehicles parked on the premises shall be parked in an orderly manner within the areas designated on the overall site plan dated May 28th, 2021.
Right, because you already specified above that the one area is the only one that we can park in during the campground.
Yeah.
So it's comfortable.
Sounds good to me. And then, in the footnotes, section 8, the temporary housing, temporary seasonal housing, is that gonna come back to, that's what he tried to propose, but we didn't even entertain?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just using the words in the application, that the application did contain those words, and that's why I put it in quotations. That the use of the premises as temporary seasonal housing. It was only in subsequent meetings that the applicant sought permission to park commercial vehicles on the premises in addition to using the premises as a campground, which is really what this kind of transitioned into. Right?
So do we need to specify that there's no temporary seasonal housing?
So the very first resolve clause on page 3 says that the site plan submitted by the applicant for the use of the premises as a 9-pad campground with a 24-foot by 60-foot bathhouse and community space with utility room, together with off-season commercial parking, is approved with conditions. So that's really what the plan is. Doesn't reference season. I mean, and I think what I heard, at least at the last meeting, is that although it may not be practical, but there's a possibility that it could be year round. So I'm I don't, it's clear to me, but, you know, no one wrote it.
As long as I have an explanation. As long as there's nothing in there that says that it can be temporary housing.
It's, well, I mean, I guess arguably it is temporary housing
Yeah.
by the nature of the campground, right? So you're catering to transient occupants.
Yes. So we're not catering to what it could become.
I'm not sure what that is.
It could become that, you know,
Right, but it's being approved as a 9-pad RV campground. Right, with use when not in operation for that, for commercial parking. Anything that changes, anything different than that, if he wants to propose those main twos, if he wants to
Gotta come
change
back.
the use in any manner, we'd have to come back for reconsideration.
okay. That's all I got. You got it? Short enough? I guess.
So again, this is proposed to, as a resolution with a motion to be made and seconded and then voted on. Those voting would be Parker, Clement, Lawton, and Goslin.
These conditions are for the whole project.
These are the whole project.
2 weeks ago, I asked that question twice. Is this the project, is the resolution? And I said, project. But anyway, that's why I just want to make it clear.
Yeah, the project is the 9 recreational RV pads together with a 24-foot by 60-foot building housing a bathhouse, community room, and utility room, together with, it's a seasonal parking of commercial vehicles. That's what the project is defined as. So I'm going to suggest that we strike the word seasonal from the very first whereas clause. Because I don't think the applicant proposed seasonal parking, and we're not really proposing seasonal parking, we're proposing parking when the campground is not in use. So there's really there's no season here. So it's the very first whereas clause, first page of the resolution.
I think where that came from, when we originally talked about the time frame for the campground.
We did, and we had defined, yeah, because we
had defined a
omitted,
timeframe, yes.
we omitted that condition that the campground could only be operational from March to November. And we said, well, no, that's not fair, because if he wants to extend it longer or shorter, then, it's his right to do that. So, yeah, just proposing that we remove the word seasonal from the seasonal parking. But to your point, John, that's the project. The project's contained in this resolution. The resolution would be approving the entire project with the conditions we just mentioned. So a vote yes to approve the resolution would approve the site plan as approved. Vote no's would
Approved is how we spelled it out.
correct.
I'll make the motion. Anybody second it?
I'll second it. I gotta go first, right? That was me. Yes.
Yes.
No.
So there was three yeses and one no. The resolution is adopted. Well, yeah, what I'm going to, well, you're acting as chair. I'll propose it for you to sign as acting, or not acting, vice chair. Vice chair. And, I mean, I can get with you tomorrow if you're available. Or anytime.
It's not Friday, it's jury duty. It wasn't given an hour.
Wait, Friday's jury duty, or you have jury duty tomorrow?
Friday.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
You will show up, it says.
I will have it available tomorrow. I can give you a call.
Anybody have anything else?
I'd like to, before we close out on this, having a open meeting that was held where they asked me to recuse myself from this project. Going further, anything to do with Chase, I do not want to be recused from. I want it on the record. This was that, they asked at the public hearing for this project to recuse myself. I'm done being recused. That will never happen.
Recusal is a
Voluntary.
is a personal choice, a voluntary choice. You know, a failure to recuse, and I'm not implying this at all, Mike, in your case, but a failure to recuse when there should have been a recusal by way of a conflict of interest could jeopardize a ruling of a body that the person that should have otherwise recused themselves participated in. But fundamentally, you made that choice based on whatever criteria you applied, and you know, once you did it, you're
No, I absolutely.
you're committed to it.
We made a statement that was open on Facebook, and we all know what. They asked the meeting to be recused. I'm saying before this closes out, I was recused from all of this. Going forward further, as long as I'm on this planning board, I am not recusing myself of further actions that might come up from Mr. Chase just because he was a fireman and I was a fireman. Because that would go the same thing he had. I worked with him as well. Okay? Well, I just wanted on record.
Anybody want to look at the code enforcement report?
I am looking at it. So, John Nelson, I noticed it's still under the Catholic diocese, that hasn't switched over yet? Did you see that?
176.
Yeah, I did see
Did you notice
that. I don't know that a closing has occurred yet.
Oh, okay.
As a trustee, I would have to sign on that, that has not, so.
Oh, so he's still gonna go ahead and start it though?
Oh, I don't know, I just know it hasn't been gone through.
Well, if he issued a building permit, right,
If-
then,
if-
I mean, must be, just wants to get started maybe, I don't know.
That would, I mean, ultimately, I think that's between him and
Oh,
Church.
right,
but-
I was just a little bit,
Yeah.
The Moody thing that I spoke to you about, that's, I think we're just gonna follow.
Yeah.
Anyone make a motion
Make a
to
motion.
adjourn?
second.
Aye.
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 Joe, you know that Mr. Jermaine passed, right?
I do, yes.
Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, up to St. Peter's if you're around.
And thanks for letting me know though,
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Well, Tim, when I picked him up at the airport yesterday.
We just had them out, up and down the street on
Yeah.
Sunday.
they did the whole, you know, once he shut down, they didn't feed him, they just didn't comfortable. I think he, you know, he was a stubborn bird. You know, he waited till everybody got home. He waited till his family got there, and then that was it.
Based on our guy.
Yeah, I know. The rumor is they're gonna sell the house, basically make a deal for Linda to move in.
What else you got?
The sister, the daughter,
Really?
you know Linda? That's what, he's at my house right now, I'm gonna go talk to him. They might be selling her the house, or they're gonna make a deal, I don't know.
That's interesting.
Thank you. Yeah,
No.
No,
That's all.
there's no.
but I'm hearing, I don't know if she can maintain that house.
Nobody said the way he did.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I don't know if this,
It's working out.
all right.
That is so funny.
It's nice to meet you. Have a great summer.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
Take good care.
I'm not doing
Thank you.
anything.
Yeah.
Good night. I do have to have, I got a couple more things. I got enough background.
Here?
Yeah, we can shut that one off. Yeah, hit the button there.